first.
Welcome back. In tonight's KX Conversation, Senator Kevin Cramer joins us now to discuss a plan to address the growing orphaned wells crisis. Senator, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Great opportunity to talk about something that's really important to North Dakota and the nation.
The Revive Economic Growth and Reclaim Orphaned Wells, or REGROW Act, passed in the Energy and Natural Resources Committee yesterday. It's a bipartisan bill that would commit nearly $5 billion to plugging and cleaning up orphaned and abandoned oil and gas wells across the country. How much of a problem is this in North Dakota's oil patch?
Yeah, it's a great question because North Dakota, as you know, has been in the oil business for a long time, and a lot of that business took place prior to there being the types of regulations and laws that we see today. And so we have quite a number of orphaned wells. But what's so inspirational is that it was really part of the some of the early support from for the pandemic, some of the early support that came from Washington and North Dakota in the CARES Act, where Governor Burgum took some of that money and looked for opportunities to put people back to work and to do some good. And so he and his team came up with the idea of reclaiming orphaned wells. Now, orphaned wells are wells that have been abandoned and really have nobody that are accountable for those wells because they're generally pre-regulation wells. So what he did is he took some of that CARES Act, created jobs, keeping skilled workers in the oil patch working while at the same time doing some environmental good. And so we really sort of copied that model. And Senator Ben Ray Lujan from New Mexico, another oil-producing state, a Democrat that I served in the House with on the Energy and Commerce Committee, he and I authored this bill and introduced it, do what Governor Burgum in North Dakota did on a national level.
Now, Senator, you mentioned that a lot of these oil wells were abandoned a long time ago, but what about now? What can federal regulators do today to hold accountable companies that abandon wells?
Yeah, so great question, because now, in more recent modern times, there are regulations in place that require the chain of custody, if you will, to remain in place. And if it's shifted, the liability for reclaiming and, taking care of the well site after the fact, that's all covered now. There are some people that are looking at, some legislators looking at the possibility of some sort of a bonding reform as well that would provide, a bond that would be secure so that should somebody abandon the well, there would be money there for the state or local community to take care of it. Our bill simply deals with orphaned wells as they exist today. And so we aren't dealing with the bonding side of it. But there are 56,000 documented abandoned or orphaned wells. Not abandoned. Abandoned's different. There are abandoned wells, but we know the chain of custody, so there's an accountable or responsible party. Orphan means there isn't a responsible party. So it's 56,000 of them that are documented around the country, and this bill would help provide the resources to keep people working and to clean up the environment.
And we know this is encouraging news for the many oil workers that got laid off during the recent oil crash.
Yeah, really important point, because that's, I think, what Governor Burgum was getting at. Here we have, all these employees suddenly find themselves without work because the demand for oil was down as a result of the pandemic. Congress steps in with the CARES Act, gives states a good deal of money and a good deal of flexibility. And the ingenuity of North Dakota, of course, said, hey, let's solve a couple of problems. Keep oil well workers working in the field that they're comfortable with while cleaning up the environment and this environmental hazard. And we just, kind of copied that and put it at a national level. And here's the nice thing. It's bipartisan, as you pointed out, but there are organizations that are as far left as, the Environmental Defense Fund that supported, and as far right as Independent Petroleum Producers of America that supported, and several governors from states, both red and blue, support it. So this is something that has the full support of everybody in the political spectrum, because who wouldn't want to put people to work and clean up the environment at the same time?
Senator Cramer, thank you very much for your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Josh.